Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining this learning lab on GPT-3. Bianca and Greg will be your hosts for today. Since everyone is muted, should you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the question pane. I'll be gathering them and sharing them at the end of the presentation. Bianca, Greg, the floor is yours.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks, Amir. Hi everyone, welcome to our learning lab, which has been created by humans, but we hope by the end of this you'll be questioning if you would have noticed if it hadn't. So my name is Bianca. I'm a data scientist / software engineer at Unit8 for about a year. I did my master's at the University of Lugano, and during my student years I worked at Here Technologies and at Google, and I get extremely excited about dogs. And today I'm joined by my colleague, Greg.
Hello, my name is Greg. I'm a full-stack software engineer at Unit8. I studied at AGH in Poland, and I really like green tea.
So we work for Unit8. We are a service company founded in 2017. We are about 40 engineers now, and we are trying to help traditional industries use artificial intelligence to optimize production, reduce costs, detect frauds or risks. And we work mostly with industries such as pharma, automotive, finance, insurance, and manufacturing. Today's lab will start with learning a little bit about the AI fundamentals and what drove their progress. We're going to try to understand how exactly did we get here and what are the limitations. Then we're going to be exploring and interacting with GPT-3, which is the new kid on the block. And we're going to learn a little bit about how to stay informed on the topic. So let's start with demystifying artificial intelligence. You may have seen some of these titles while scrolling through your daily news. They all look a little bit scary. Some of them are a little bit dramatic, using words like criminals. There's that one in caps lock over there. AI bots will write news articles and you should be worried. And all of these scary things. So our goal today here is that by the end of this learning lab, you will not find these titles so scary anymore. It's understandable to be a little bit fearful about artificial intelligence when technologies like this exist, face recognition, which is now used even just to unlock our phones on a daily basis. And it is a bit scary and it does feel a bit invasive, but that's not all there is to artificial intelligence. With latest advancements, there's been huge progress in, for example, the medical field in detections of things like pneumonias and cancers that could basically save someone's lives. So how exactly did we get to this point? Let's look at a few big milestones in the past 20 years. Let's say we start in 2006 with cleverbot, which is a quite old chatbot that we're gonna get into a bit more details in a few minutes. In 2010, then we had IBM's Watson, which won Jeopardy, which is the TV general knowledge competition, and it beat the previously human champion. In 2011, then we had Siri, which was a really cool thing at the time, the phone assistant. And then in 2012, we made huge progress on the image recognition front by creating the first model that could recognize cats. 2014 onwards came the cooler, more advanced home assistants. You may be familiar with Alexa or Google Home. Then in 2016, we've had Google Translate and Microsoft's Typebot, which we'll also get there into a few minutes. And then we move on to nowadays, where we have GPT-3, which we're going to go into way more detail. So let's start with cleverbot. Cleverbot was a really cool thing at the time because it is a chatbot and you can just go on this website and start having a conversation with a bot. That was never seen before, super cool. However, this is based on a model that is basically from the 80s, so it's not really state of the art and had very big limitations when it comes to understanding context and really keeping up a conversation. As we can see in this example, we asked it, "What are you?" It replied, "I don't know." Then we asked, "Are you a bot?" And the reply was, no, I'm a human. It contradicted himself almost instantly. It couldn't keep the state of what it had just said. Then we had Siri. Siri was amazing, life-changing, because you could just be driving your car, you talk to your phone, you say, call my mom, remind me to get some cheese, and it would do that for you. That was really cool and really useful. However, it has a very, very limited scope of understanding, and it can only understand a few very clear commands. If you try to get it out of its comfort zone, even just a little, it's not always going to work. As we can see in here, it kind of almost looks like it's mocking you, like it's making fun of you a little bit. And happens, I think, very frequently for people to get really angry on assistants like that. Understandable. So then the need and the excitement about actually conversational and social bots was pretty apparent. So when Microsoft launched Tay, it was super exciting. It had a Twitter handle, and it was just let out in the wild to start talking to people. And it started off really sweet, really nice, super stoked to meet us. Humans are super cool. It was speaking with abbreviations, all lowercase, just like people would tweet, basically. However, it learns from people. So as it was interacting with people on Twitter, it started picking up a few of their behaviors. And that led to this. In less than 15 hours, Tay had to be shut down because it had picked up the worst of everyone's behavior on Twitter, pretty much. It was a little bit, no, not a little bit, very racist, very sexist, and everything that could be wrong. Feel free to look it up. We didn't really feel comfortable putting it up there. It went really rogue. So in order to compare them, we've decided to see what the three of them think about everyone's favorite, kittens. So we started with cleverbot. We asked it, what do you think about kittens? Love kittens. Why? Because the cute. A little bit of a grammar issue there. Kind of monosyllabic. It's not really a conversation. It's very short answers, very minimal. So we moved on to Siri. We asked, what's your opinion on kittens? It kind of flunked out and they don't have an answer. Is there anything could help? Kind of gave away immediately that it's a bot and not a very good one at keeping up a conversation, really. And we also managed to dig up a tweet of Tay on kittens, and we know that it preferred kittens over puppies. So we started from cleverbot, we ended up at Tay, and now let's take a look at what's the cool thing now and what it can really do. So this cool thing is GPT-3. So as you can see here, we have a screenshot of basically a full-blown conversation about kittens. We started by asking what the opinion on kittens is. They're adorable. It even mentioned that it has a cat. So then we decided to dig a little bit deeper, ask about the name. Apparently it's called Ollie, not a common name, but it likes it. And then we start asking more questions about how they interact, and kind of looks like a normal conversation. Jumping into boxes, chasing toys around the house, looks pretty good. However, it's not all as cool and scary and amazing as it seems, because I also like peanut butter. That wasn't really necessary there, was it? It's a little bit out of context. So let's try to go a little bit more deep into this GPT-3. What is it, and is it really that scary? With a little demo from my colleague.
Yeah, thank you, Blanca. So before we get into this demo, thanks to OpenAI, I want you to consider those two tweets. Those are screenshots from Twitter. One of those, some of those tweets are fake, and I would like you to read them and just see if you can recognize which one of those is fake. The first one is about video games, about kittens, and the second one is just a situation at the bar. And just a couple of seconds so you can read them. And if you have guessed that any of them is fake, you would be right, because they're both fake and they also both looked very real. So let's just look into the playground of OpenAI. We basically were able to create those tweets using only GPT-3. We used the DaVinci model, and thanks to this playground, basically we gathered a couple of tweets. We gathered 5 tweets from the internet. We spelled out their names, their handles, and the contents of the actual tweets. And we asked GPT-3 to generate something new. So we're gonna do that again, just to pick a safe topic, because GPT-3 has been trained on the internet and it can generate some controversial and sometimes unsafe for work opinions. So let's pick the safest topic we can think of, which is kittens. I will just press submit. And yeah, basically it created a whole new tweet, which was made by someone named Kelly. And it says that if it would have a kitten, it would name something that's not a name for a kitten, which is something definitely that could be posted by someone on Twitter. So if we just want to make a tweet like this, we go to Twitter, we paste whatever GPT created, we can tweet it, and as you can see, we have this tweet, but it still looks kind of fake, you know? So let's first off change the name so it looks a little bit more like a human. It was Kelly, right? It was Kelly. Okay, so our account has a name now and has kind of believable tweet. However, the picture is still not really good. You know, it's a placeholder picture, and we would like to actually fool people into thinking that it's a real person. So we would need an actual picture. So AI can do this too. If we go to thispersondoesnotexist.com, we can see a picture of a person. However, this person on the picture does not exist. Every single time, as you can see here on this description, every single time we refresh the page, we get a new face, which is generated by an artificial network. Every single time we refresh the page, it's a different person. So if we just want to create a real, actually good-looking account, we just need to save this image, and we get to the Twitter again, where we can post a picture. And this time, it looks really like a normal tweet from a normal person. Just to see if our pros at our company would be able to recognize tweets made this way, we have created a poll just for them, so they can vote which tweets were fake and which tweets were real. So first, we basically put 3 real tweets and 2 fake tweets into the poll and asked what they think. So for those fake tweets that you can see here that were generated, here are the results of the poll. The first tweet that was about video games about kittens did pretty well, actually. Over 40% of employees here thought that it was a real tweet from a real person. And the second one about the situation at the bar did a little bit poorly, because only 14% of people were fooled. However, the results are a bit skewed, because they knew from the beginning that some of the tweets were generated by GPT-3. So basically, on the other tweets that were real, for example, a tweet like this made from Matt, it's about an ad on a podcast. It's a very real tweet. It was from the internet. It was in the poll. Unfortunately, 50% of people still thought it's a fake tweet, which just shows that most people were guessing and couldn't really tell if it's a real tweet or a fake tweet. It was completely 50-50. If you want to be sure if the content you get on the internet is actually genuine, basically you need some steps to verify if the content you're looking at is real. The best thing about checking out social media accounts is actually looking at the picture, because while the pictures themselves look very realistic, they still have some of the malformed parts. So for example, in this picture, it was the second generated tweet that we have shown at the beginning. In this picture, you can see that the left earring of the person is very off. It looks very weird, and the right side of her face doesn't have that earring. So it's one of those deformations that you can look for. Especially, you can also look in the region of eyes and ears, because these regions change a lot in pictures, which means that they will be the most prone to errors from artificial network. You should also look into how recently was the account created, because since the technologies are very new, it's very likely that if an account is also very new, it's just there to test out that new technology. And of course, you should also look at the content of the account that you can see. If it has inconsistencies across posts, like wrong opinions on topics, and it has one opinion and then completely changes its opinion on another post, then you could suspect that it's a fake account. However, people on Twitter post weird things, so you can't really be sure. That picture thing is the easiest one to tell. Also, you would want to recognize chatbots, like we mentioned before the cleverbot, we mentioned before Siri. Basically, the only solution here is to just ask weird questions. The first weird question you can ask is basically make up some words in the question. You can see that the question we ask here is, how do you sporgle or gargle? And those two words do not exist. And AI still tried very hard to figure out what to answer, but as you can see, the answer is very robotic. It asks to search its knowledge base, which no normal person would ever answer. Another type of question would be to ask something that's completely fake, which is, who is the president of Narnia, which AI will also try very hard to sidetrack, because it doesn't have this information. And another thing, if you ask for something that will only happen in the future, it will try its best to predict what will happen in the future. But unless it can predict the future, it's most likely wrong. And the final thing, the longer text, like articles, many people were actually scared about this part because it basically could kill journalism if it gets much better. Right now, we can generate a tweet with just the topic. We can generate articles with just a couple of sentences. So even though it's really good at generating text, it's still not perfect. So basically, you need to look at the whole article. Try to read the whole article, and if you can see contradicting opinions or weird grammar or stuff like this, then it will be your best bet. For example, here we asked Philosopher AI, which is an app you can download and play around with. You can ask it anything, and GPT-3 will try its best to answer you. We asked, what does it think about kittens? And it answered that kittens are a fascinating subject. And especially it observed that they are very cute, and it's the best property of them. And this is a really good start to the article about kittens. However, just a couple of sentences later, you can see that it instantly changed its mind and started saying that kittens are not actually as cute as they seem. And even though this may sound harsh, there are good reasons for this. So basically, the whole articles created by GPT-3 don't have a structure. Each part of the text from GPT-3 is generated iteratively, which means it generates the first part of the article, and it goes and goes and goes, generating the next ones, taking as base, something that it generated before. Yep. And the last thing that we want to know, basically, where is it going? Where is this model going? And the answer is we don't know. We can't predict how this will evolve because not so long ago GPT-2 was released, and GPT-3 is millions times better than GPT-2. So the artificial intelligence world is evolving so rapidly, we have no way of knowing what's knocking on our door. And just for fun, we also asked for the future of AI to GPT-3, and it answered that we don't have to worry about robots taking over the world because they're too busy trying to figure out how to make a decent cup of tea. Yep, and that's pretty much it from our side. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask them in the chat right now, and we will do our best to answer it.
Yes, so we have a few questions already, but just to let you know that after that questions session, we will be sharing a small QR code so that you can provide some feedback on the presentation to Digital Day. So feel free to use it. But first, let's go through your questions. So first one is, besides creating fake tweets or fake Twitter accounts as we saw, what is GPT-3 used today for?
Okay, so I can answer that one. GPT-3 basically is still a very young model. It didn't really have time to find its commercial use. However, it already is used for generating code and designs. Basically, there exists already a plugin for one of the photo editing software that if you describe what you want, it will create the pictures for you already. You only have to describe what it should look like and you get the pictures back. I'm sure there's an example of it somewhere on the internet. And as the creators of from OpenAI said themselves, it's best to use GPT-3 for something like reader's block, where if you don't know how to finish something, you can use GPT-3 to do it for you and select the best ending possible.
I think it has also been used a little bit into translating. It started to be used a little bit because it is able to understand context quite well, and it can basically kind of learn a language and then help with translations.
Yep, basically we had the French version of this presentation on Sunday, and it worked in a way that we just translated everything, and GPT-3 handled French like it was English. It didn't have any problems with it.
Thank you. And a couple other questions, but they all somehow revolve around the same topic. What is actually OpenAI, and can anyone use the tool you've presented?
Bianca?
Sure. So the playground that we just presented was given access on our request. So it's not commercially really available just yet. But we do also have this Philosopher AI that we talked about. This is downloadable as an application. There's also a browser version of it, I believe. But it's a little bit on demand now.
Yep, it costs, I think, around €3, something like this, to get this, because currently a commercial use of GPT-3 is also paid for. So you can't really get access to it for free anywhere.
With the access to the playground, like we showed, we could create these tweets and create these templates. With Philosopher AI, we'd be able to generate some articles, some short sequences of text, not really all the capabilities that we displayed today.
Thank you. And this is another question we have received, but we received it yesterday during the French presentation, so I'll just share that answer as well. In our company, we're not using GPT-3. It's really our data scientists, data engineers, our staff, real humans using their hands to type in the code that they use. then maybe we can move on to the next one. So I'll just share the links that you're showing, but go ahead and explain us what these are.
So we wanted to add the slide here to help a little bit with staying informed and keeping up to date, what sort of things to look out for when you're reading an article entitled in such a clickbaity way as the way you've shown in the beginning. So here are a couple of useful links that we found for ourselves.
And I highly recommend the Google AI experiment thing because it's funny and you end up spending a couple hours drawing stuff on a computer with the computer telling you what it is. It's really funny. Last one with the QR code, please. Thanks. So thanks everyone for attending. We will be sharing the recording of this session at a later stage, so please keep an eye open on our social networks if you want to be aware of it. In case you know people that would have loved to attend the French version we had yesterday, we will also be sharing the recording. And finally, tomorrow, still in the Digital Days framework, we will co-organize a debate around personal data privacy. You can find the link to this debate on the Digital Days website, more specifically on our Unitate page, but also on the page of our co-organizers, Kudelski and the Swiss Academy for Technical Sciences. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bianca. Thank you, Greg, and have a nice evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.